Hello, my name is Nicholas Pollack, and for my fall 2020 experiential learning, I had the pleasure of working with Home-Base Warrior Health and Fitness. Just to give a little bit of background about what my site actually does, we reach out to veterans of foreign wars and go ahead and give them a place to facilitate increasing their physical strength as well as their mental health. Just in Southwest Florida, we go ahead and offer group fitness Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, as well as offering help for nutritional advice. So we have dietitians on staff supported through Lee Health, which we give our veterans every chance possible that they can to go ahead and get themselves in a physically better state of mind as well as physical being. So we offer a 3-month program for the veterans to conduct. Prior to that, however, we start an assessment where the veterans come in. They have a physical clearance that needs to be met. Granted, these patients or these participants are usually in the geriatric phase of life, so there are typically medical clearances that need to happen, whether it be through our company of Red Dot certification or through a general physician, be it where the PARQ says that needs to be followed up. Once clearance is attained, the veterans go through an intake process, which we conduct baseline measures of blood pressure, heart rate, weight, height, hip to waist ratio, BMI, through a bioelectrical impedance device, as well as going through an overhead squat assessment and our total caloric expenditure test, which is a 5-minute assessment of how many times a veteran can conduct one specific exercise. Once that's done, we go ahead and move on to the training phase. Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the Naples YMCA on the rooftop and the turf, we go ahead and meet where we conduct an hour-long session of physical training. Mondays were focused on lower body, Wednesdays were focused on upper body, and Fridays were focused on total body. Naturally, before each session commenced, we had a generic as well as a specific warm-up period where we made sure our veterans were nice and warm to make sure that they stayed safe during our training session. Mondays, the warm-up period conducted was more sanctioned towards our lower body. Naturally, Wednesdays was towards our upper body, and Fridays was towards our total body. Just to give an example, Mondays we had warm-ups such as crab walks. Wednesdays we had our rotator cuff circuit, and Fridays we had total body workouts where we included everything from Monday and Wednesday and shrunk it down into an hour-long period. We naturally included different exercises to keep the veterans' motivation level high and to make sure that we weren't plateauing, but it was total body sanctioned. There was no specific cardio aspect of this. However, based off of the rest periods, we were able to negotiate cardio into our workouts. Now, for my end goal on this project, I wanted to take a look at the geriatric population and look at how resistance training impacted their balance. Through our Monday, Wednesday, Friday courses, we didn't have much aspect of equipment available to us, as we only were able to utilize what the YMCA provided, which wound up being resistance bands as well as some kettlebells and some medicine balls. So we were able to conduct resistance training, just not at the spectrum of what I would have liked to see this population do. So what my opinion was in the topic was taking a look at how the geriatric population was able to progress through a period of bout of resistance training, and my end goal was going to be to present this to Home-Base, to utilize this information to be able to substantiate purchasing new equipment. So as we build our new facility at FGCU that we'll be able to utilize, we will be able to substantiate purchasing equipment in exponential value because we had the data to back it. Now, about 2 weeks before my project was due, Home-Base decided to task me with a project instead of my initial final project. So they decided to task me with an 8-week periodization program to show how resistance training can progress, utilizing not only body weight, but also equipment and body weight. So I took this as a chance to say, okay, I can go ahead and show my periodization. I can show my growth throughout an 8-week progression. So I can go ahead and say to home base that this would be a viable purchase in the future. This is not just a $10 purchase at the store. This is thousands and thousands of dollars in equipment. So I need to have some data to back it up. As you'll see what I'm going to go ahead and include after this introduction video. So I broke down based off of a day-to-day basis, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, based off of a lower body day, a full body day, a rest, an upper body day, a full body day, and then the weekend. You can see how over the course of 8 weeks, my pseudo client progressed through adding on resistance. I gave the option of stating whether or not we can utilize bands, we can utilize kettlebells, we can utilize dumbbells. So basically this was for clients in the future to say, if we don't have access to this equipment, we can go ahead and utilize something else. If we do have access to this equipment, that's fantastic. I went ahead and did the math to show the progression based off of either way. What I also did was I included brochures in my final project in case home base decides to use this in the future, not in their training facility, and utilize this in a method to show their veteran population how to do this. They wouldn't necessarily need a personal trainer. All they would have to do is set this up so on their Facebook page, they use that as their main form of communication. They can set this up on their Facebook page on different files saying, hey, here is this brochure for the lower body day. Here's the brochure for the full body, for the rest day, which I turned into a flexibility training day, and so on and so forth. So with the brochures, they gave a visual representation as well as a detailed description of what exercises need to be done that went in sync with my Excel spreadsheet of what exercises would be done on those days. So I'm going to go ahead and include now a clip of my oral presentation to my site. We didn't have the luxury of being able to do this in person just because home base is not only in Southwest Florida, but as well as in Boston. On the call, we did have the pleasure of joining us, the director of both the Boston and the Southwest Florida branch. I did receive some very good feedback from him, which I'm very proud of. So I'm going to go ahead now and include a couple minutes video representation of that. And then I'll come back and tell you how I feel like I did in that presentation. Okay. So what I wanted to start off with here was just a bit disclaimer, just to be read by all participants, obviously after medical clearance, kind of how we do with the red dot. And like we do before every Zoom call or any virtual training, just to let them know exactly what's going to be going on. I don't know if you guys want me reading this verbatim, but basically all it says, it just gives cues to how I've organized my, spreadsheet. And then coming down the bottom, it's a bit more of a health standard. So just making sure you're maintaining proper balance of, caloric intake, nutritional water, and just stating that every single day is going to have a warm up, an exercise prescription, and recovery that's available to them. Make sure to always contact emergency services if you need it, and remember to work out and be the warrior that you are today. So I've got this structured on a different sheet basis. On the bottom here, you can see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You can go ahead and starting on the left side here, working your way down, we can see we got our warm up here. We've got all our warm up activities listed, the equipment needed for them, the amount of repetitions, and the sets. That's going to be a common trend across all 5 days. Moving on down into our exercise prescription, I've got listed up here to be completed twice. You'll notice that in between some of the days, sometimes we complete the circuits twice, sometimes we complete them 3 times, just depends on what type of day and what type of exercises were selected. And the equipment needed, we can utilize resistance bands or dumbbells. I tried to make this as structured towards commonly found equipment in homes besides my own, because I know not everybody has access to certain things, so I tried to group it as well as possible. Again, repetitions and sets. I'm working on down here to the cool down. It's got all these listed. So before I go on and show you here, just want to say for every day I've I've got a brochure made because I know working with a lot of our veterans, they don't really know what we mean when we say, hey, go do a Romanian deadlift, go do, squat, what proper form am I supposed to be using? So each day of the week, I've got sectioned off. We can go ahead and include that in the posts where they follow exercise per exercise. It gives a little cue. It gives visual representation of what they need to be doing. If it's an exercise, like we do the transverse plane functional dynamic movements, where it requires a bit more explanation, I do have explanations there. Just wanted to run through at least one of these with you. Coming on down here, again, I wanted to make sure we gave the opportunity in case we don't have the equipment at home, we don't have a resistance band, we've got a dumbbell. You've got two different visual representations. Working on down here. And then at the bottom, repeat exercises 1 to 12 for a total of 12 times. So what I tried to do is make them work in tandem, the Excel spreadsheet as well as the Word documents. So basically all you'd have to do is look at the repetitions that you need on the spreadsheet, and you can just take your Word document with you and say, okay, I need to do this, that, this looks like this, that, and the third. Again, I did this as well for the cool downs, the stretches, just trying to make it as easy to comprehend as possible. And then just to show, coming on into Tuesday. So Monday was a upper body and core structured day. Tuesday is more of a full body day. Now, for example, here we have full body, we have utilization of kettlebells. Kettlebells don't really jump in small increments. It's off of kilograms, and to progress from one to another is a massive percentage gain. So I gave that a 3-week progression, progressing from 8 repetitions to 10 to 12, and then continuing on back down to 8. So working in tiers to ensure that we can remain at that level. Again, this is not necessarily saying that everybody should be at the 8 kilograms starting point on week 1. This is just stating if you are, this is how you will progress, just to show the proper tiers.
This is great. Nick, this is really, it's so thorough. 2 questions. One, how does this connect to cardio for a person during the week, if at all? Does it have to? Oh, hi, Chris. And the second question is more of a kind of, I'm curious about the delivery. Like, you have a brochure which looks cool. You got good pictures and everything. Do you actually print it out and they physically take it?
So just working in order based off of the cardio, they can go ahead and implement that on their own based off of the tempo that they'd like to include. That's going to be, we can really work that in with the medicine ball. Just for as an example, since we're not increasing the weight, we're only increasing repetitions, we can go ahead and shrink the, sorry, I formulate the right word, go ahead and decrease the amount of time in between each set. So we can keep that heart rate up. We can keep that cardio going. They might not necessarily be running or on an elliptical or anything like that. However, still doing resistance-based exercises, we can keep that heart rate in that range for activating cardio. And then just to address your second question, sir. So as far as the delivery methods goes, how I structured the spreadsheet, I really wanted that to be the backbone. So in case there are any questions, because I feel as if we put the spreadsheet on and say, hey, go ahead and do this, it's going to be hardly received. They're going to go, oh my God, what is this? I would really like the brochures to be printed up and taken with them. I know it's a couple pages. However, just having that immediate reference or having an online virtual reference, so if you can post the document to Facebook in a file and say, hey, Monday's routine is right here. Go ahead and click on it. You can pull it up on your phone while you're at the gym. You've got every mover you need. And hey, if you need to see your progression from last week, because you should be keeping a chart, actually states in my title page, you should be keeping track and recording your progress. You can see the tiered growth between week 1, week 2, week 3, and you can go ahead and progress through that as you would see in the example.
Cool.
So
great, thanks. I appreciate it.
Right, and that wouldn't need to be utilized by all participants. Obviously, a lot of veterans would know some of those exercises, but some of the ones that are not very well-rounded, they don't have a very high training age, they might need that little extra pointer in order to help them understand the exercise as well.
So I do like that you included, the visuals and, pretty much telling them exactly how to do each movement. I think that would be helpful, and I think we're going to utilize that.
Sounds
Agreed.
good.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Well,
Now,
it's
do we
a
wanna keep-
break. Sorry, it's a break from. Sorry, Brett. I gotta roll,
No
but looking forward to seeing you guys again. Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Ron.
Absolutely. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So for my presentation, I feel that I did very well given the time frame that I was given. We were only given about 2 weeks to complete this project, as it would have normally been a semester-long project. I did start working on my resistance training in reference to balance for geriatrics, just to show the fall risk. However, I recognized that home base needed this information done, and we transitioned over to that. I think that I provided adequate information as well as a very detailed method to show the geriatric participants, even participants that were not geriatric, how to conduct proper exercises without having a personal trainer there. Naturally speaking, we do want somebody that's strength and conditioning certified to be conducting these exercises. However, given the circumstances with COVID-19 and given the circumstances that we're trying to outreach to participants beyond our immediate community, I tried to make it as easy as possible to understand what the movements were and to understand how to properly conduct them in a safe manner. I also went ahead, as you saw, to detail our warm-ups and our cooldowns to make sure that we stress those for this population, to make sure that they're staying safe, and to make sure that we are participating in an educationally well manner, excuse me. So what I would have done differently with this project, the only thing I would have done differently is given myself the opportunity to present this 8-week program with a viable participant. I think it's fantastic that I now have this in my toolbox, that I have an 8-week progressional program to show warm-up, cool-down exercises for an entire week program through over the course of 8 weeks, 2 months. I think that's fantastic to have in my toolbox. And I'm very much looking forward to being able to implement that in the future, just to see how much I can actually stick to that periodization. Obviously, naturally, there will be changes throughout this program. However, it's a huge accomplishment to myself, as that's something that I felt like I struggled with before I started this internship or this experiential learning. I felt like periodization for me was one of the main topics that I really, really struggled with. However, after working with this population, it is so rewarding. I am very, very much looking forward to continuing my growth in my career, working towards helping the geriatric population. I think that just when somebody comes in at the beginning of your 3-month program and has their assessments and they leave, they got their head down low, we try and motivate them as much as they can, but when they get back to the car, they're not happy with their test results. They're not happy with their scores. And you see them grow from that, coming every single day that we offer and struggling through our exercises to the point where they're helping to teach others who are just starting theirs about a month down. You see them about 2 months down, and they're very, very happy to come. 3 months in, and they're not happy to conduct the final assessment because it is not an easy 5-minute assessment. It mimics a burpee, as well as some rows, as well as a squat, as well as an overhead press. So it is a brutal 5-minute assessment. But it is so incredibly rewarding to watch them grow and to watch them have those test results and to have that smile on their face at the end of it, just to see that they did it and that all of this was not done in vain. I am extremely excited to continue this career, and I'm extremely excited to hopefully potentially work with this population in the future. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to conduct everything that I did and to grow not only in the career field as well as a person, to be able to experience everything that I did.